In the world of football, few stars have shone as brightly or fallen as dramatically as Cam Newton. From Heisman Trophy winner to NFL MVP, and from Super Bowl quarterback to being out of the league, Newton's career has been a roller coaster of highs and lows. Today, we're diving into the question on everyone's mind: what happened to Cam Newton? Our story begins in 2010 at Auburn University. After a controversial departure from Florida and a stint at Blinn College, Newton arrived at Auburn ready to prove himself. And prove himself he did. In a single season, Newton led the Tigers to an undefeated 13-0 record, clinched the Heisman Trophy, and capped it off with a national championship victory. Newton's dual-threat capabilities were unlike anything college football had seen. He passed for 2,854 yards and 30 touchdowns, while rushing for 1,473 yards and 20 more scores. This wasn't just good, it was historic. The NFL took notice. In 2011, the Carolina Panthers made Newton the first overall pick in the draft. From day one, he lived up to the hype. In his very first game, he threw for 422 yards, setting a record for a rookie debut. By season's end, he'd broken the NFL record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback with 14. But it was in 2015 that Newton truly cemented his place among the NFL elite. Leading the Panthers to a 15-1 record, Newton was unstoppable. He threw for 3,837 yards and 35 touchdowns, while rushing for 636 yards and 10 more scores. The league had no answer for him. That year, Newton was named NFL MVP and led his team to Super Bowl 50. Though they fell short against the Denver Broncos, it seemed like Newton's star would only continue to rise. But as we now know, that wasn't to be the case. The decline began slowly at first. A series of injuries, particularly to his throwing shoulder, began to take their toll. Newton's unique playing style, which relied heavily on his physical prowess, became increasingly difficult to maintain. By 2020, the Panthers, the team that had built their entire franchise around him, decided to move on. A brief stint with the New England Patriots followed, but it was clear that Newton was no longer the force he once was. So, what exactly happened? How did a player of Newton's caliber fall so far, so fast? The answer lies in a perfect storm of factors. First, the injuries. Football is a brutal sport, and Newton's style of play left him particularly vulnerable. His shoulder issues severely impacted his throwing ability, the cornerstone of any quarterback's game. Second, the NFL evolved. As the league shifted towards more pass-heavy offenses, Newton struggled to adapt. His incredible athleticism had always been his calling card. But as that began to fade, he found it difficult to reinvent himself as a pocket passer. Lastly, there's the mental aspect. Years of hits, criticism, and the pressure of being Superman took their toll. The once ebullient Newton seemed to lose some of his joy for the game. So, how great was Cam Newton? At his peak, he was truly one of the most dynamic players the NFL has ever seen. He changed the game, paving the way for a new generation of dual-threat quarterbacks. And how great could he have been? If not for injuries and changing NFL trends, we might be talking about Newton as one of the all-time greats. Which brings us to our final question. Is Cam Newton a Hall of Famer? It's a tough call. His peak was undeniably brilliant. An MVP award, a Super Bowl appearance, numerous records. But his career lacked the longevity typically associated with Hall of Fame induction. Ultimately, Newton's case will be one of the most intriguing and debated in recent memory. In the end, Cam Newton's story is one of incredible talent, soaring highs, and the harsh realities of professional sports. While his fall was dramatic, his impact on the game is undeniable. He may no longer be Superman on the field, but Cam Newton's legacy as a transformative figure in football history is secure.